happened a couple years ago during the earlier stages of the opioid crisis. A bunch of county governments, Trumbull County and some others, sued opioid manufacturers like Purdue in federal court, and they also sued the companies that filled those prescriptions. For example, your Walmart, your CVS,
okay.
your retail pharmacies. Under a theory of, well, you were sort of acting as a public nuisance in continuing to fill these prescriptions. So the federal judge up here in Cleveland issued an order, saying, this is what I want to happen. I'm ordering abatement of this nuisance to the tune of about $650 million against these pharmacies, essentially, right, who are filling prescriptions rather than manufacturing or marketing. That case went up then to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, which did something a little unusual, and this is what we have here, is the Sixth Circuit said, listen, this is really going to be an important question of Ohio law. So before we, the federal court, weigh in on what we think Ohio law ought to be, we're going to send it to the Ohio Supreme Court to tell us what Ohio law should be. So that's how the case gets here. Now, the interesting focus on this is because what the theory was, this is a nuisance and you abate it. Typically, abating a nuisance has always meant you clean up your mess, right? It doesn't mean you pay money to someone else just because they might have need for that money in the future.
Where does the money go? I think that's always the easiest way to figure out what the game is here, Jay, and that is who gets the money.
So the money would go to these county and local governments, right? Now their claim, their argument is they listen, we need this money to abate the nuisance, and the way we would do this is we'll use it for treatment programs, drug interdiction programs, more funding for emergency services, all these sort of things, which on their face you say, okay, that sort of makes sense. I guess I can see that. But the problem, Scott, is money's fungible. Always.
Right. Yeah, we're not giving money to the Iranians. We're giving humanitarian relief to the Iranians. It doesn't, and that's not going to come back to haunt us.
And we point out in our brief, Ohio did have sort of an experience with this back in the mid-early 2000s with the nationwide tobacco settlement.
Right.
I don't know if you recall that there the big, in that case, it was a settlement. Mm-hmm. And the tobacco company said, listen, we're going to pay this large chunk of money, I don't recall how much it was at the time, to various state governments. And the states are going to use it for things like smoking prevention and cessation and all those sorts of good things that you think, well, okay, that makes sense and goes to what this case was about. But as Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Right.
And what happened in 2008, 2009, right, when we had the recession hit, the legislature got hit in the mouth and said, well, hey, we can find a lot of other uses for this money right now. Yep. And they did.
Well, not only that, they took that settlement and sold it to for pennies on the dollar, basically. They went to a company and said, all right, look, you give us, I don't know how much, $100 million or whatever it was probably more than that, and you give us $80 million and we're fine. So we lost money on the deal. So, Jay, on that, the public nuisance element here, in order to argue that, the other side has to argue this. And pharmacies are a public nuisance. I mean, the way it works is, and I'm sure you have a now greater understanding of this than I do because you filed this, is that the patient comes to the doctor, complains of symptoms. Doctor says it's treatable with X, in this case, opiates. Prescription gets filled at a pharmacy. It's a doctor's order. The order is on a piece of paper. There's a chain there, right? A piece of paper or digitally. Doctor okays it. Pharmacy just simply fills that, gives them the drug that they paid for. End of transaction. How are they to blame in all this?
Well, that's a good question, and that's actually that's the question that came up, at the trial court. The court, unfortunately for the pharmacies, found that yeah, you were just following the doctor's orders, but you should have known, you could have done better, you should have, that sort of thing.
Well, the doctor's licensed in Ohio, so it starts with the doctor. Doctor gets a license in Ohio. If you're going to be a pharmaceutical company, there's stringent testing of the Food and Drug Administration, and it's all regulated. And in order to bring a drug to market, as we know, there's testing and there's clinical trials and everything else. And so the whole process is supervised by the government. And yet, when we went sideways with the opioid epidemic, J.R. Carson, the government pointed the finger at everybody but themselves.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it is as you can guess, the government's looking for deep pockets.
Yeah.
Wherever it can find them.
Right.
And these nationwide pharmacy chains had those deep pockets. So that's part of it. And this is what's probably, we point out in the brief, nuisance abatement, typically, as you point out, it goes to making the person who caused the nuisance, who caused the problem in the first place, clean it up, right? You're the company that you have the chemical spill. All right, that's on you. Mm-hmm. You have to pay whatever you have to pay to clean it up and make it right. You've got some sort of. I remember earlier in my legal career a case at a hog farm that was causing a nuisance to owners, just with terrible odors and so forth. Look, the court said, owner, you have to clean this farm up. You have to spend some of your own money to do it. But they're not saying, we're telling you, go pay money to somebody else.
Right. And
then they'll try to address the problem, maybe sort of down the line. And again, the difference, as you just pointed out, it's the person who actually created the nuisance, not someone who was just sort of, in this case, with the pharmacies, just in the chain of the transactions. And quite honestly, look, they were sort of in a position of if they didn't fill the prescription, they're in trouble. And now if they do, so. We think this is all inconsistent with what Ohio nuisance law has always been. And that's what we're asking the Ohio Supreme Court to take a look at, is say, listen, this is not how nuisance law works in Ohio. It should go back to the district court, and they should, if they want to impose some sort of abatement requirement, it should be one geared towards the people who actually did it and require them to clean this up. And not just what is essentially a huge award of money damages.
And I will point out, too, that this lawsuit, if it goes through successful to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, all this is going to do is take money from the pharmacies, give it to the government to misspend. And by the way, we're going to pay in the long run when we go to the pharmacy for prescriptions that we have to get because the cost is going to be passed along. J.R. Carson is here, senior litigator at the Buckeye Institute. Interesting case here, and a friend of the court brief that he filed in Trumbull County, which is the Warren, Ohio area, and that's against Purdue Pharma. And the argument by the state is that this is a public nuisance. That pharmacies fulfilling and filling these prescriptions for opiates created a public nuisance. I can see the opioid manufacturers to blame. If you watch any of those interesting documentaries, the one with Matthew Broderick was really, really good. You saw the intent for them to get money. Talk about the embodiment of evil corporate America. They were not looking at the research, kind of like big tobacco. I understand that. And penalties allegedly were paid and tried to make people whole from that. Doctors who were creating pill mills, certainly to blame in this whole thing. But I also look at it and go, of everything, it seems that pharmacies are the least culpable group in all of this because simply they get an order. Is there a responsibility on the part of the pharmacy to track how many scripts you get per drug or class of drug as it may be? If somebody comes in and says, wow, the system flagged it because the doctor's written 20 prescriptions in 2 months for you for an opioid, that's going to come up in the system and go, well, we may have a red flag here. Is that part of the law? Is that part of what pharmacies are responsible for? How does that work?
So I'll admit that I'm not an expert on the pharmacy requirements.
Okay.
I think, yes, there are tracking requirements. But I don't know that there's a reporting requirement once if you reach a certain threshold. It's not like, geez, after the 20th prescription,
right.
Call the FBI or something like that.
Yeah.
I think there's generally, tracking requirements for the pharmacists to tell how many prescriptions they filled and who they filled them for. Again, still this is, the pharmacist isn't in the position, if they're presented with I have a script from a doctor that says, do this for me.
Right.
Again, it's not their job to second guess. And even if you were to say, well, maybe they could have done better or something, that still isn't the right remedy, right? So the problem is still that you're just requiring a lot of these actors, in some cases, people who didn't have a whole lot of culpability in it, if any, to pay tremendous sums to a local and county governments, on the pledge that we'll use it for something that's going to be anti-opioid, right? That'll help resolve the crisis.
Jay Carson, on the merits of the argument, do you think the courts will see this as just simply too broad?
Yeah, it is up to the court, but again, there are particular guidelines if you're going to call this. And again, Scott, it's a little technical in that the way this case came through is it's abating a nuisance, right? It's not a you caused a tort and now you're getting money damages and here's how much the damages are going to be.
Right.
So the courts have jurisdiction to help craft this sort of nuisance abatement remedy. They have kind of more leeway, more discretion to do that. And the question is, does saying, okay, the way I abated the nuisance is just have everybody pay the government money, does that go beyond what the court is allowed to do under its nuisance abatement powers? And that's sort of the issue here, because again, if this was a straight ahead product liability claim or something, right?
Yeah.
You would have money damages, and the malefactors, the bad actors,
right,
and the pharmaceutical corporations would write a check to the people who were injured, the people whose family members of people who died from opioid overdoses, etc. But again, that's not what we've got. And again, the other weird thing about this is it's all forward-looking, right? It's we're going to take all this money and do all these programs that will abate and stop this opioid epidemic. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. The problem is, of course, again, it's not as easy as, okay, we're writing you the check, there's the check. No one knows for sure whether whatever solutions the government comes up with, even assuming they use all the money the way they're supposed to use it, how effective those solutions will be.
Right. J.R. Carson, senior litigator, Buckeye Institute, friend of the court brief filed with the Ohio Supreme Court in Trumbull County v. Purdue Pharma, and the government is saying, look, anyone who wrote prescription drugs for opiates over a 2 or 3 decade period, we're going to start collecting some money because we see it as a public nuisance. And of course, some people are prescribed opiates and didn't overdose, didn't become addicted. And I don't know how you weed that out from this case. That's a whole other argument.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is it too broad in that capacity that, I was on opioids when I had back surgery years ago. And fortunately for me, and I think it's probably a genetic thing that I didn't become addicted to that. I'm able to use them, and that's not a problem. But that's me. A lot of people, millions of people, much, much different outcomes than I had, unfortunately. Jay, all the best. Thanks for updating on this important story. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, be well. Take care. And we got Willie on the way. Another great example here of government at work for you. Yeah, we're going to go after now. We need money. Let's go after the people who we allowed to write these prescriptions in the first place and get money from them, even though we're the ones that had probably a bigger role in creating this epidemic than anyone. Fantastic. And then when we go to get our prescription, go, wow, prescription drugs cost too much money. And the government goes, yeah, they do. We better we better start suing people in order to reduce the cost. This is the government we deserve. Scott Sloan, home of the Red, 700 WLW Cincinnati.
Who's the man who can make you laugh or cry? Willie. Who's the man who holds politicians' feet to the fire? Willie. Who's the man who looks a little like Uncle Sam's distant nephew, Corky? Willie. Willie Cunningham, the voice of the people.
My friends, be the eagle, soar high and free when you listen to me.
Today at noon.
I am a great American.
On 700 WLW. And catch the podcast of his show on the free iHeartRadio app.
Guys, it's a new year. Low T Center can make it a great one.
If you've been feeling tired and grumpy, maybe notice a lack of motivation and drive, you may have low T. Low testosterone levels can cause weight gain, a loss of muscle mass, and so much more. I recommend Low T Centers where I've got my levels tested. They make it quick and easy to get all your levels checked, and it's only $25. And with their on-site lab, you'll get results back in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
When you need custom exterior or interior railing, gates, fencing, or balconies, choose Ellesmere Ironworks, the Tri-State's leader in ornamental ironwork. Call Ellesmere Ironworks now, 859-727-2505.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that's going to make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Plus, everyone gets a no-sweat same-game parlay for every playoff game day. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code 700WLW. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code 700WLW. The crown is yours. 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Physically present in Ohio. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after the issuance. Opt-in required. One no-sweat token issued per eligible day after opt-in. No-sweat bonus bet issued based on amount of losing qualifying bet. Eligibility, max reward limits, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Live from the 700 WLW studios. Driven by Mike Castrucci Ford in Milford and Alexandria. Check out the Tri-State's largest inventory of brand new Ford Broncos, Super Duty, and Ford Mustang at MikeCastrucciFord.com. That's Mike Castrucci Ford.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Craving Penn Station East Coast subs? Skip the line and order online at penn-station.com. Get your favorite sub with fresh cut fries and fresh squeezed lemonade. Visit penn-station.com.
This is the Bearcat Report, brought to you in part by Penn Station East Coast Subs, Meadows Law Firm, and the independent electrical contractors of Greater Cincinnati. Now, here are Dan Horde and UC's head coach Wes Miller on the home of the Bearcats, 700 WLW.
Dan Horde of the Bearcats head coach Wes Miller. UC had 25th-ranked Texas on the ropes last night, leading by 1 with 23 seconds to go. But after a missed free throw by John Newman, Texas grabbed the rebound, and Max Asmus hit a jump shot with 6 seconds left to give the Longhorns a 74-73 win.
When you lose a one-possession game, it hurts. Losing always hurts, but when you lose like that, it stings in a really serious way. And nobody's going to beat himself up more than John Newman tonight, and that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And it ain't fair because he shouldn't do it, because one missed free throw on a 1-on-1 does not define the game.
Simas Lukosius led UC with 19 points. Dylan Dessou had 33 for Texas. We've got the Wes Miller Radio Show coming up tomorrow night at 8 at the original Montgomery Inn. UC's next game is Saturday at number 14 Baylor, and you'll hear it on News Radio 700 WLW.
You've been listening to the Bearcat Report on the home of the Bearcats, 700 WLW.
Check out Honda certified pre-owned vehicles. They're like new and only available at your local Honda dealer. Checked, inspected, and reconditioned with genuine Honda parts by factory-trained technicians. Honda certified it and backed it with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Certified pre-owned Hondas are in stock now at your local Honda dealer. Drive worry-free with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Honda certified it. Only when you buy at your local Honda dealer. News, traffic, and weather. News Radio 700 WLW, Cincinnati.
Police officers are going to be okay after a high-speed chase and crash with the 12 o'clock report. I'm Brian Combs. Breaking now. You can hear the engine rev as the driver of a pickup truck being chased by police speeds up to ram into a cruiser. Dashcam video today released of Monday's chase in Montgomery County. Suspect was wanted for running over his daughter at a mobile home park, and shots were fired during the chase by 13 different police officers. Officers from the Dayton Department, Trotwood, and the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. Dayton chief says the suspect, identified as 54-year-old James Skirvin, said he wanted to die by suicide by cop. Skirvin survived. The Trotwood officer whose car the pickup truck landed on top of is going to be okay as well.
The Trotwood PD officer remains in stable condition at a local hospital. The suspect was removed to an area hospital by Dayton Fire Department medics. He is currently listed in stable condition, being treated for injuries he received from the crash and gunshot wounds.
You can see a photo that shows the end of this crash if you follow 700 WLW on X. Now, latest traffic. Weather together.
From the UC Up Traffic Center, UC Up Weight Loss Center offers long-term weight loss solutions that transform lives. To learn more, call 513-939-2263. It's 939-2263. Crews just cleared an accident on southbound 71 near Dana. So traffic running less than 15 minutes out of Blue Ash into town right now. Then southbound 71 is shut down in Carroll County, just below Carrollton, above the Campbellsburg ramp due to an accident. Chuck Ingram, News Radio 700 WLW.
Now the latest forecast from the Advanced Dentistry Weather Center. Advanced Dentistry, the judgment-free dental experience you've been looking for. NoFearDentist.com.
Breezy, cold, and cloudy today. High of only 35. Partly cloudy tonight. Low 31. Mostly cloudy Thursday and warmer. High 44. Rain expected to be heavy on Friday. Cold air behind it. From your severe weather station, I'm 9 First Warning meteorologist Raven Richard. News Radio 700 WLW.
Clouds 34 degrees right now. Number of power outages across the tri-state because of the strong winds this morning, down to about 200. Crews from Duke Energy were out working all night to restore service. Two large outages at the moment are in Brown County. Duke's website says service should be restored by 2:30 in Higgins-Port and by 1:20 in Red Oak. Clock is ticking down to the final the first challenge of the 2024 presidential campaign. Iowa caucuses at next week, and at the same time, a polar vortex is expected to work its way across the country.
The former South Carolina governor out in a snowy Iowa with the campaign trail largely to herself.
I didn't know if we were going to come see 5 people, but to see a full house really is great.
With the brutal weather, Vivek Ramaswamy forced the campaign via an iPad. And Governor DeSantis was home in Florida, giving the State of the State address and dealing with severe tornadoes there.
Caucusing in Iowa is Monday. It'll be followed by the first primary in New Hampshire, January 23rd. Ohio's presidential primary happens on March 19th. Kentucky and Indiana have their primaries in May. Governor of Ohio says it should be a decision made by parents in consultation with their children's doctor. Mike DeWine vetoing a bill passed by the legislature banning hormone treatments for transgender youth. Today, the House is expected to vote to override that veto.
The members of the House have spoken loudly a couple of times on this bill, and it's part of the political process. I think there's been a lot of consideration, but it's something that I know our members feel very strongly about, that this bill needs to be in law.
That was the Speaker of the House yesterday in the Bill Cunningham Show on 700 WLW. House meets today at 2. UC's home opener in the Big 12 went right down to the wire last night. Bearcats' game-winning shot banged off the rim, and UC lost to Texas by a point. Tonight, Xavier plays the current national champions, UConn. Airtime here is 8 o'clock. Not going to find any Bengals players on the list. The NFL Players Association announcing today its all-pro team for 2023, voted on by all of the players in the league. Former Bengal Jesse Bakes made that list at free safety, and former Bearcats Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce both received the honor as well. Our next update at 12:30. I'm Brian Combs, News Radio 700 WLW.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll have the story of how one man is using welding to save souls and change lives. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. ramp.com/free.
It's a new year and time to get out of your rut. But wait, is that a new gut? Exercise and Leisure has a special deal on their site, exerciseandleisure.com, a free spinning bike. Visit exerciseandleisure.com. Deal ends January 31st.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope, and they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Fee-only investing and truly being a fiduciary are the cornerstones that core into financial planning and wealth management. Does that sound inviting? It should. Call Steve Perrin Jr. today, 513-769-3131, 769-3131.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like 70s Rock Ride, Pink Floyd, Eagles, Van Halen, Tom Petty, Zeppelin. Try something new for 2024. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search 70s Rock Ride, and listen now. iHeartRadio, free never sounded so good.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Money. That's money. Enter it now.
All right, 12:07. It's the Average American in for the Great American on this chilly Wednesday. Great to have you with us. We are now coming down the home stretch. Yes, as much as you think it was off in the distance, as much as you thought it was not anywhere near, it is. Because on Monday, officially, we begin the chase for the presidency 2024. The Iowa caucus, the Republican Iowa caucus, is Monday. And then New Hampshire and then South Carolina, all leading to Super Tuesday. So in less than a couple of months, we'll know for sure whether or not Donald Trump is indeed the front runner in all of these particular primaries that will be going on. Right now, Iowa has Trump up. Trafalgar, the pollster, has Trump up 52-18 on Haley and DeSantis. And it's kind of amazing because the more Trump gets indicted, the stronger he becomes. The more he gets charged with something, the greater he is. It's almost like an elixir. But on and on it goes. And if indeed Trump is the nominee, stand by, strap yourself in, because there are all kinds of things afoot from the Supreme Court on down that may be things that would be a roadblock to 45 becoming 47. Somebody that's following this as intently as I am, I know. She is the daughter of military parents. She is a former political candidate herself, and she is the purveyor of one of the finest podcasts that I know of out there about today's events and how it should be and why it isn't. And, of course, that's a great guest in this program, Raven Harrison. Raven, how are you on this glorious day?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm glad you're back here. Now, I got a number of things I want to get to. First of all, let's just talk about the caucus coming up on Monday. No doubt in your mind that Donald Trump wins this thing. It's just a matter of how big he wins. Am I right?
That is correct. And that is not only, it's very objective, it's also very statistic. I mean, he's just, like you said, every single time they attack him, his numbers get stronger, he raises more money. He is untouchable by